I would say my first location feels. I guess the way I'd like to explain it would be, it feels like your cool big brothers, bachelor pad. It's kind of swanky. It don't look like, you walk in, it don't look like a barbershop. It looks like, you know, some cat that's got a cool style. It looks like his living room.
That's like the goal, I think, for most places. Like, you want it to feel like comfortable.
It feels very intimate for a barbershop. It's 4 chairs that all sit in a square. I designed it that way because I wanted there to be conversation amongst, 4 guys sitting down getting a haircut, whether they knew each other or not. So it's very easy to engage in conversation with someone that you might not even know. You might hear the barber and the guy in his chair talking about Final Four, San Diego State getting to the championship game for the first time. You know what I mean? And maybe the guy that's sitting in the chair, he's a big Miami fan and he's pissed off that his team got eliminated and it's going to be UConn. You know what I mean? It's just real easy for that conversation to jump in. You know what I mean? So, those are just the little thoughts about, setting up when I designed it, setting up the space. But
it always feels so weird, like jumping into that.
But I think it does feel weird, but it depends on the space, right? If the space is designed to make you feel comfortable, I think that the way that the space is laid out, that it doesn't feel like it, like I said, it doesn't feel like a traditional barbershop. It really does feel very inviting and very welcome. You know what I mean?
Just going to hang out and get a haircut at the same time.
You just go hang out and you just go hang out. You get your haircut. You know what I mean? It's just a real cool. The vibe in there is real cool.
I need to go visit.
You would really like it. And like now the Garrison is, it's much newer. It's much newer. It's a beautiful, beautiful barbershop. I haven't seen
aesthetically pleasing.
I haven't seen too many shops that I would say are on that level. Like, I really went out to do something that was 100% unique. There are some really beautiful barbershops out there. I just don't think that there's a lot that we're in a category by ourselves. There's obviously some shops that are set up that I would put in that box, right? But there's a handful of them.
Was that always the goal? Like the
Yes,
vision of like
100%.
being like upper echelon, I would say.
You can put the Garrison. You could put the Garrison inside of the Wynn, and it would be.
Oh yeah.
It would be. You wouldn't bat an eyelash. That place belongs there, and I mean the Wynn is. The Wynn is the Wynn.
The Wynn is the Wynn. Yeah.
Right. And I would, and I truly, truly believe that. I truly believe you could put the Garrison inside of the Wynn or Resort World or the Bellagio or the Cosmopolitan, and it would fit right in.
Is the goal to ever jump back into a resort?
We've talked about, we've talked about it. I actually did have a lease at one of the major casinos a few years ago, but there were some financial things that occurred and with the property that we had the lease with, and the terms just didn't make sense, so we had to back out. And then the opportunity came to open up the Garrison, and the developer, the gentleman that owns that shopping center, is a big developer in Las Vegas and is really doing a lot of work downtown. So I really believe in his vision for downtown in that neighborhood in particular.
I love the style of the buildings that you're in and like across the street.
Yeah.
Right? The taco place, and then I don't know what the other one is on the other side.
Capriati's.
Yeah. Which is Italian.
It's a sandwich shop. So they started off local. They've got places all over the United States. But the one of the owner or the company's based out of Las Vegas.
Okay. I love the style, but then my vision of downtown Las Vegas was not what downtown Las Vegas is.
Right.
And if it's going to grow into more of that style,
Right.
then I can see downtown Vegas being a cool spot to go to.
Right.
Did it stop being a good spot to go to at one point in time?
Yes, it was. There was a time when I first moved to Las Vegas, you didn't want to go downtown. Like downtown was, especially like the Arts District area. That area was. I mean, even Fremont. Even like Fremont Street. You know what I mean? Like, go down there. It was always, oh, you're gonna go downtown. Be careful. Don't wander off. Don't walk. Don't park where it's dark. You know what I mean?
Damn.
Make sure you're in a group of people. It was super sketchy.
Why?
I just think, I think everything was the strip. You know what I mean? The casinos, the resorts. So there wasn't really a lot of attention to downtown up until a gentleman named Tony Hsieh, who was the founder and CEO of Zappos, decided he wanted to heavily invest in downtown. So he moved Zappos downtown. They were really the first big company, not non-resort, non-casino.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's crazy.
What the fuck?
So Tony Hsieh, he moved his company from Silicon Valley. I believe it was, he was in Silicon Valley. They moved to he wanted to kind of make downtown Las Vegas, the Silicon Valley of Nevada, and attract like-minded businesses. So he created a group called the Downtown Project. And they just started investing. They bought up a lot of real estate. They bought a lot of buildings. They started investing in people's visions and people's ideas, and started opening restaurants and different brick and mortar. Yeah, it was really cool. So it really started to attract cool businesses down there.
And by that time, had you already been here in downtown?
Yeah, well, I wasn't downtown. I had Elliot and Company. I owned my first shop, and this was probably so. I remember there was so if you go downtown, there's a project called the Container Park. So it's a bunch of containers, and there's it's like a little mall.
It's always fun.
Oh, yeah. It's really cool. Little small, like little micro businesses in the Container Park. And when they were just building that, they had approached me to do an Elliot and Company at the Container Park. They ended up doing a Bolt Barbershop, which is out of Los Angeles, in the Container Park. I think another barbershop. Something happened, and the gentleman that owned it, he passed away.
Damn, that sucks.
And his wife took it over, and I guess she just sold it. And then I think that they had some cats, running the barbershop out of there. And then it ended up, it's something, I think now it's like a tattoo parlor or something. But I mean, there's just some really, really cool businesses in that area. And then, so Tony Hsieh passed away several years ago. And now I think, Jay Dapper's kind of filled that void. And so he's doing some really cool projects downtown. You seem like a wealth of knowledge, and we just started talking.
Are you into shoes? Are you like...
Nah, I'm not really a shoe guy. I'm in a fashion, you know what I mean? But okay. I wouldn't call myself a sneakerhead, you know what I mean? Like my son, he's a sneaker guy. I have 3 biological sons, and I have a stepson, and they're all pretty, into sneakers and into, what's trendy now, you know what I mean? So they keep me quasi hip, you know what I mean? But I've always been a big fan of fashion and, looking good. And I love suits and old school stuff.
I love a good suit.
Oh, bro.
I love a good suit.
Yeah.
When you see someone down the street just dressed up, looking dapper, you gotta be like, bro, damn.
When you're wearing a suit, when you're wearing a well put together suit,
it feels,
there's nothing like you stand up a little straighter. You know what I mean? Your walk is a little more intentional. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's me. If I would wear a suit every day if I could.
I don't know that I would do it every day.
I would absolutely 100% order. It's so there's nothing like having a suit on, man.
I definitely agree. Are you more of a straps? What are they called?
Suspenders.
Suspender kind of guy?
No,
or a belt
I mean I've got a couple like tailors that I work with. You know what I mean. So a lot of my suits are custom. So I don't even wear like mine. Don't even have belt loops. They're custom. They fit like they're supposed to fit.
I've never had anything tailored.
Oh man. Every man should have a good barber, a good bartender, and a good tailor. Every man.
I gotta find a good tailor.
Yeah. We have some good tailors here in Las Vegas.
I bet there's some good tailors.
There's some really cool clothiers, and there's some good tailors here.
I feel like there's everything here.
There's a lot of really good, and it's starting to get even better. You know what I mean? Since with everything that's going on downtown, there's a lot of I say the last 5, 6, 7 years, you're starting to see a lot more organic growth. So what Tony Shea did is they try to create this really cool downtown experience. But it felt a little forced because they had their hands in everything and they were the ones that said yes or no to ideas and concepts and projects. So now with, they definitely planted the seed. And now you're starting to see more organic cool coming, like you see when you go to San Diego. Like their downtown is nuts. You know what I mean?
Never been.
Little Italy in San Diego is crazy. Gaslamp is crazy. Like it's.
Are they niche little communities?
They're little small neighborhoods, little communities. You know what I mean? And that's what you want to see. Like you want like these little cool neighborhoods, these little cool communities. You know what I mean? So like Las Vegas, so downtown you've got the Fremont Street experience, which is where all the casinos are, and everything like right off of the casinos. And then you have the Arts District, which is where the galleries and there's some cool restaurants, and then right up the street where the Garrison is the Huntridge. So that's an old neighborhood, and at one time it was like the most affluent neighborhood in Las Vegas. It's where the casino owners lived and the entertainers lived, and you've got these beautiful mid modern homes that were built in the 60s and the 50s and the 70s that are just crazy. I mean, crazy beautiful. And then that theater across the street, the Huntridge Theater, is on the historic registry. The gentleman that owns the Huntridge Shopping Center, where the Garrison is at, bought that with some help from the city in regards to help, like, just ensuring that they were going to be able to get, all of the permits expedited, and there was going to be a lot of community support. So, as a matter of fact, like this weekend, they're doing a sign relighting event.
That's cool.
They're gonna have like 3 bands play. And they're doing tours of the theater. And
is that this coming weekend?
That's this coming weekend on the 7th. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So you should go check it out. So that's that's First Friday. So First Friday downtown. First Friday, since you're kind of new here, First Friday is all of the galleries and kind of open up. There's the epicenter of it. They'll have like street vendors, and they kind of have it blocked off, and you'll have a lot of local vendors selling their goods and information on their businesses.
More like startups.
There's some startups. Some of them are regular. Some of them are brick and mortars that have been there for a while. Restaurants, coffee bars, bars, all kinds of cool stuff. But it's a great way to experience downtown, and there's a ton of people just kind of walking around this time of the year. The weather's going to be perfect. It's a really great opportunity to experience everything that is downtown and the Arts District 18, Ben. It's really, really cool.
I'm definitely excited.
You should really go experience it.
There's one in College Station that I go to, and even just going down with the doggo and like stopping for a cigar. I like to stop for a cigar, and we'll sit outside and just watch all the people walk by, and then you get up and mingle along and see some friends and stuff, and go to the different venues or different booths. It's always a good time and relaxing. Take the lady. I've never. She said that this one's, it's going to be bigger, right? It's going to be bigger than the one down there. I want to continue to get more involved in any single way that I can.
It's really a great way to get involved in it, and a lot of people from the city go there, so it's a great way to just kind of mingle and meet people. So the sign lighting ceremony is on First Friday.
Nice. Okay.
So it's just up the street from the Arts District, and there's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a pretty big event. It's going to be packed. It's going to be a lot of. It'll be a great opportunity to meet some people. So there's some really cool projects going on inside of the Hunters where we're at. There's next door to the Garrison. There's a place that's going to be called Winnie and Ethel's. It's going to be like an old school, like 50s, 60s style diner. Kicked up. The chef, Chef Aaron, was a sous chef at Esther's Kitchen, which is like one of the dopest not just one of the dopest restaurants like downtown, like for real, one of the dopest restaurants in Las Vegas, like one of my favorite places.
What kind of food is it?
It's like Italian, Mediterranean kind of fusion.
Why is it good? Like what's the?
It's just everything is just good, man. Like the vibe is good, the food is incredible. Man, they got this. They bake their own bread, so they
Never
look at my son. Look at my son. I said look at my son. I said they bake their own.
It's the spot.
Oh,
hell yeah!
It's fantastic, bro.
I gotta add it to the list.
Bro,
there's just so many places to eat, man.
Dude, there's so many good places to eat out here. Like
it's
our
endless.
food scene is really, really just cracking, man.
You could go somewhere new every single day for like 6 months on one side of town.
100%. 100%. And like, what's cool is like now, like even the casinos are starting to do, like they're doing some really cool concepts that aren't like these necessarily like these big, these big concepts that are from, other places. Like some of these joints are like born in Las Vegas. So a client of mine, Chef Dai Matsuda, was with Major Foods. They owned Carbone. Carbone is in Aria.
Okay.
The original one is in New York. They opened up Las Vegas. They're in Miami, Dallas, Dubai. Chef Jonah Resnick was the executive chef of the first Carbone here in Las Vegas. It's my boy. Shout out Jonah Resnick if you hear this.
Damn.
He's my guy. And so Chef Dai was with Major Foods, came out here. He opened up Mayfair Supper Club, which is an incredible experience at the Bellagio, one of my favorite venues. He went to Miami to go open up Dirty French, which he was the chef at Dirty French in New York. So he went to Miami, opened up Dirty French. He's no longer with Major Foods. He's with a new group. And they just opened up this place in Red Rock called the Rouge Room.
Rouge Room.
I just went there on Thursday night. Real talk. Bro, one of the dopest dining experiences I've ever had in my life. Like, just incredible, man. Just incredible. Just a great experience. Great food. It's French-based cuisine. The entertainment, like the live jazz music. Like, it felt like you go back in time. Like, it was so fresh, man. Just really, really
One more
cool.
time, the name?
The Rouge Room.
The Rouge Room.
Yes.
Inside the Red Rock.
Inside Red Rock Casino.
Okay.
Incredible.
There's
so much.
Endless, dude.
Yeah, there's so much.
So are you just scrolling, or is it because of your friends and your
Chef Matsuda is a client of mine. So, I don't know how I met Jonah. Jonah started coming to me at Elliot and Company. He was actually going to one of my barbers. One of my barbers left, and then I started taking care of him. And then when Dai moved out here, he introduced me to Chef Matsuda. I started taking care of Chef, And then they both left. They both, Jonah first went to Miami, and then he's there now, still with Carbone. And then Chef Matsuda then followed. So now Chef Matsuda's back. He's now in LA, but they have like 3 concepts that are going into Red Rock. So Rouge Room is their first one. I think he's got like 2 or 3 more. And then they're doing some stuff at the new Station Casino that's going to be opening up, the Durango station that's going to be opening up, which is supposed to be like super funky as well. Stations does a good job. Like they're a local casino and they do a lot of really, really cool stuff.
I like the stations. I like the one that's right here, the Sunset Station.
Yeah.
Is the one that we go to. Like, I gotta, when I first got here, it was like the first hotel I ever stayed at was Texas Station, and then a Sunset Station. I was like, I'm gonna get one of those little membership cards.
Yeah,
and I realized how many different things that they own in town.
There's a bunch.
And I went on Reddit to figure out like where to go, and it was like those are the locals. Like that's where the locals.
That's where the locals go.
Like,
Right. Have you been to Green Valley Station?
I've been there a couple times. And it's probably like, to me, one of the bougiest places. It's clean. Like it looks like it smells clean. It's well taken care of. Yeah. I love that the fitness centers are right next door. The LA Fitness or whatever. Not LA Fitness.
Lifetime.
Lifetime Fitness.
Yeah, Lifetime is dope.
I love Lifetime.
Yeah,
all the amenities are. I like amenities. Amenities are my thing. Like
They got plenty of them.
They got plenty.
That's the real deal.
That's like anything that's like upper echelon. I feel like the difference is the amenities, right?
That's what you're paying for.
Yeah, you're paying.
I tell Cass, you're paying what Lifetime. You're paying to not deal with all the things that you don't want to deal with at a regular gym. That's what you're paying for.
The equipment that's like, sorry, please come back later 4 in a row on treadmills. None of that. Like they're gonna take care of it.
Yeah, and
people are gonna say hi, and that's hopefully the goal with the podcast. It's like I'm going to send a car to go pick somebody up.
Right.
We're gonna have a bartender or like a producer that gets us coffee and things. It's like I want the person to come in here like, thank you for your time.
Right.
I'm gonna try to give you the best that I can. Right. And hopefully we continue to move that direction. It's just a matter of time.
You just got to do it.
It's a matter of time.
It takes time. Yeah, 100%. Slow and steady wins a race.
Being slow is hard.
Yeah.
Being patient is hard.
It's a virtue. It is hard. It is hard to be patient, but you get one day at a time. We all get the same 24 hours. You know what I mean? It's what you do with it. You know what I mean?
You seem patient. I
am very patient. I am, but I think that also comes with age and wisdom, and I've done a lot. I'm a lot older than you probably think. So,
55.
No, I'm not that old.
Okay. I went up because you said
almost 50. Almost 50.
Okay. Yeah.
Almost 50.
So I would have guessed like probably 40s.
Yeah.
I would probably guess 40s if you didn't say older than you
I shouldn't
probably
even
think.
I shouldn't even said that.
I was like, shit, I don't know.
Shot myself in the head.
I gotta go high.
I'm 73, bro.
It's impressive. You look damn good for 73. Now, I don't know what you're doing, but good tailor, good barber, good.
There you go, man. Bartender. There you go. Good coffee.
Good coffee. You can never go wrong with some good coffee. So you moved here. Was it 17 years ago?
20 years ago.
God damn.
Yeah, 20 years ago, and it was it really was, man. It was really a blessing. Like the first time I came to Las Vegas, I really did fall in love with this place. It's there's just an energy here. You know what I mean? Like it's even now, even though I don't, I'm in bed by 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, but. There's a comfort in knowing that if I want to go get a steak at 4 o'clock in the morning, I can.
A good steak.
A good steak too. Yeah, a good steak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's just something cool about that, man. There's something cool about driving at night and it's like everything is well lit. You know what I mean? Like I'm from Central California, from Bakersfield. And I trip out when I go home and I drive, I might be driving across town and just on the freeway, like the freeway just seems so dark. Like everything is just dark and cities just shut down. You know what I mean? And
this place ain't shut down.
Nah, Vegas is truly a 24-hour city, man.
Is Henderson a 24-hour city as well?
Not really. I mean, Henderson does go to see. I mean, but there's still plenty of places. There's plenty of little pubs and little spots that you can go whenever. Timbers and PTs, like those places are always open. There's always someone in one of those places that's sitting on a slot machine, some local degenerate, you know what I mean, smoking too much, drinking too much.
You see them all. It's a little sad. I mean,
yeah, it is, but that's kind of what makes Vegas Vegas, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
you have the opportunity to do whatever. That's our
that's our culture. You know what I mean? Like, and I kind of dig not the degenerate part, but you know what I mean? Like,
the opportunity for you to just do whatever.
I mean, just the slot machines and the table games like everywhere. I mean, bro, it's just you get off the airplane and slot machines are there. You know what I mean? You go to the grocery store and there's a little bank of slot machines. You know what I mean? You go to the gas station, there's a little bank of slot machines. You know what I mean? Like everyone's gambling something. I mean, that's just kind of who we are, man. That's what makes it's kind of like the foundation of it. And people come out here to let their hair down and have a good time. Like Vegas is fun.
Vegas is fun. I mean, it's always like the thing growing up was like you got to go to Vegas like that. Right. Like once you turn 21, you're going to Vegas.
Right. Yeah.
It's gonna be
like a rite of passage, right?
It is a rite of passage.
And I've been very fortunate. Cutting hair has allowed me the opportunity to travel. To Japan and South Korea.
What?
Yeah.
Cutting hair?
Yeah, cutting hair, bro.
Why?
So just
what do you mean?
Going to go teach and going to go showcase. Working with different companies. But when I tell people that I'm from, when they ask, where are you from? They say Vegas, and their eyes always light up, man. Always. Oh, Vegas. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's just cool.
I think I want to know more about the Japan and like teaching. That seems odd. Like, I think being a barber just seems like there's so many opportunities. Like all the barbers I talk to are just doing some really cool things, and the opportunity that it gives you to meet all these people. Everyone needs a haircut,
right?
And it's really, really neat. But oh man, I forgot. I lost my train of thought. Right before you said,
we were just talking about how like Vegas, like
Texas gets that same kind of idea,
right?
When I was in like Morocco, you tell people, oh, I'm from the United States, and they're like, ugh, right, American. You tell them I'm from Texas, and they're like, "Oh,
right,
you're a Texas kid.
Right.
Like that's cool. Like let's take a picture." Like they have, they don't have, like they have shirts of Texas, like the flag or the Texas, like the etching. It's like you get the same kind of idea with Texas.
But I mean, when people think, especially from out of the country, I think Texas is kind of Texas. I would say probably it's like that with New York, with Texas, and with California. Those are, I think when people think of the United States, that's what they think of. They think of cowboys and, you know what I mean? Like, cowboys and horses and bulls and, you know what I mean? Like, that's what they think America is, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? Or, New York, fast-paced, big city, California, surfing, palm trees, beaches. You know what I mean? When people come to, when someone comes to the United States, those are probably like the three places that they really want to go see.
And then Vegas. Because then you think about Vegas. I think if I were to live outside, it's like Vegas, and then it has the same kind of ring as Dubai. I understand very different places, but it's still like you got to go to Vegas.
Yeah.
At least once in your life.
Yeah, and I think Vegas is kind of like, is that little stop where we're on our, like, and especially so working in the resort corridor, and I worked at True Fit and Hill, and I also worked at a place that was in Mandalay Bay called The Art of Shaving. I was there for a couple of years. And so, that's what we took care of. We took care of tourists and people who were in from all over the world. You know what I mean? That's what I loved about that was being able to meet all these different people. And that was just a common theme. You know what I mean? Well, we're from Germany. We stayed 4 days in New York. Then we went to Houston. You know what I mean? Now we're on our way to California, but we wanted to take a quick trip to Las Vegas because then we can go get the Grand Canyon, right? Because it's a couple hours away.
Oh yeah.
You can do the casino thing,
gamble a little bit.
Then you head over to California.
Support for Ben Thinking is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 8 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code THINKING at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, that's about 16 million balls. I got my lawnmower and weed whacker recently, and I immediately put the weed whacker inside of my nostrils. No nicks, no snags, and I have never been able to smell things as good as after I used the weed whacker. The crop preserver makes my balls smell nice every single day that I'm in the gym, and of course, we love that. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code THINKING at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code THINKING. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Gentlemen, if you are looking for the cleanest and most professional barber studio in your area, you need to look at goldstarbarberstudio.com. These guys offer the best cuts I have ever had, from fades to having my beard work done. These guys also offer designs if you like designs. I have absolutely enjoyed my experience with Gold Star Barber Studio. Every man needs a good barber. And ladies, they offer services for women as well. I get my eyebrows done there with Harley. You guys have to check out goldstarbarberstudio.com. Find them on Instagram at goldstarbarberstudio and check them out. Get yourself cleaned. Get yourself a good, consistent cut. Take care of yourself. You deserve it.
Do you miss California?
No. No, I don't. But I'm going to tell you, I don't miss California. I love California. But real talk, man, like, I can go to California whenever I want. Like, we're literally 45 minutes from the border.
Is that it?
It's that it, man. Like, I can drive. There's been plenty. I've driven a ton of times to LA, handle whatever I got to handle, and come back that same day driving. Like, dude, Las Vegas is literally a suburb of Los Angeles.
I didn't realize it was that close.
Close. You can be in LA from Vegas. If there's, if traffic is not crazy, 3.5 hours. It's quick, man.
Damn.
It's not far.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's really
It's real cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally a 45-minute flight. Literally. In January, there was a trade show, a show called BarberCon LA. I flew out in the morning, did the show. I was back home in time for dinner. Literally. Wife picked me up from the airport, dinner ready. Boom. Get it done. Let's go, baby.
That's like the best of both worlds.
Just love it, man. Quick flight. I don't have to take a bunch of stuff. You know what I mean?
I like that.
Easy breezy.
Sidebar question. Why'd you choose barbering? How'd you get into this industry, this career?
So when I was in high school, I wanted to be an architect. I took one of my friends, his dad was an architect. So when I would go to his house, I would see all of these little models of buildings projects that he was working on, and I was fascinated by it.
That's cool.
And as a little kid, there was a guy up the street. I was friends with his kids. He was like a big adult kid himself, you know what I mean? And so he had 3 kids. His oldest daughter was my age, and he would let, like the neighborhood boys like come over to his house, and you go into his garage. He rebuilt all these old Spitfire cars, those little, I think they're English. And then he had all these cool model airplanes that he had hanging from the garage.
That was cool.
And so you're a little kid and you see these, model airplanes, and he had this cool bench set up. This is a long ass. This is going to be a long ass way to how I got into Barber.
Yeah, I'm about it. Architecture, Barber.
So and his name was Paul. He was a plumber. So It's Paul the plumber. Super good dude, like a good guy. You know what I mean? So like, me and my friend Eric would go to Paul's house. And he would teach us how to build these models, but then like he would make them look like they were in war. You know what I mean? So he would like put like bullet holes with like a pin. He'd heat up like a pin and melt the plastic, and he would take like the smoke from the exhaust and he would put it around like the bullet holes, and like he would do. I mean, all this really really cool stuff.
That's creative.
Yeah. Super creative dude. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So so then I started building models. You know what I mean? And I would take them over to Paul's house and say, how did you do this? And he would show me how to do it. And then I would have, so then I wanted to do like Paul did, and I would have all these models, airplanes like hanging up in my room, and I'd have them on my shelves. You know what I mean? This is stuff that Paul, showed me how to do. So fast forward a couple years, another friend of mine, his dad was an architect. So then I see the models of the houses and like buildings and home, whatever he was working, like little projects he was working on. So I'm immediately drawn to that because I love models, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not understanding at the time, like, I'm 9, 10, 12 years old. I have a creative mind. You know what I mean? I'm a creative thinker.
Yeah.
So I'm instantly attracted to that stuff. So he tells me, cool. I'm an architect. Well, I want to build models, and this dude does this for a living. I want to be an architect. You know what I mean? So when I get into high school, they offer drafting. He says, well, first, the way that you get into architecture
is you become
all the schools used to do. It's sad that they don't do it anymore, but all the schools used to offer drafting and architectural drafting and computer animated drafting.
I've never seen any of that.
When I was in high school, I did all the way my senior year of high school. I had 3 architectural classes.
That's freaking
in the
neat.
Regular public school. So
that's intense.
Yeah,
cool.
But I really, really wanted to be an architect.
Yeah.
So I ended up moving to Arizona, where my biological father lived. Arizona in Phoenix has ASU. ASU is like the architectural university in the United States.
Wow, did I know that?
So I wanted to go to Arizona and live in Phoenix so I could go to ASU and study architecture. So my senior year of high school, my counselor comes in or calls me into his office, and we're trying to do this is your trajectory. You're going to graduate. Have you thought about college? What you want to do? And I loved drafting. I loved drawing. I loved CAD, so cool. But I was terrible at math. I hated math. And so this cat says, well, Elliot, you understand if you're going to go to college to be an architect, there's a lot of math involved. And your math scores and, what you're doing in math is really not there. You might want to think about another career profession. And it just crushed me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's debilitating. Like, that's what you always wanted to do?
100%, bro. And instead of this dude, and that's the thing about, like, that's why having people in a position of authority over young children whose minds are still developing, what that dude did was kill my dream. And I was 17 years old. And I didn't know any better to not allow that. And I didn't go home and tell my dad, hey, Dad, I want to do this, but my counselor said I can't do that. So, I just was like, yo, that's all I've ever wanted to do is be an architect, man. And this dude said I can't because I'm not good at math. That's the way that I took that conversation. It wasn't, Elliot, if you want to be an architect, let's figure out how to get you there.
Yeah.
It was, you need to think of a different career choice because you're not good at math. You know what I mean?
They're thinking more short term.
100%.
You're not good at math right now. Not let's get you some tutoring. Let's get you
100%. 100%. And my best friend right now, is one of my best friends. One of my best friends is an architect. It's crazy. He grew up in Phoenix. I didn't know this dude. The rival high school to Ironwood, where I graduated, was Cactus. He was at Cactus at the same time I was at Ironwood. We didn't meet until we were into our 30s.
Damn.
Here in Las Vegas.
That's kind of cool.
I
kind of like that.
It is. Cool. It's pretty. It's crazy. We know a bunch of the same people in Phoenix, but we never met each other. So I met him. We were in our, like I said, well into our 30s. This dude is an architect, one of the dopest designer architects. Brilliant. He's done some of the craziest, most famous establishments in the world. This guy designed.
Damn.
Dude, all the pools, like all the pools on the Strip, Light, Morea pool, the Venus pool. He designed all those He's designed nightclubs.
I was going to ask, who is this guy?
His name is James Gundy. If you look up Gundy Design Studios, is him.
James Gundy with Gundy Designs.
Dude is just freaking. He's just his attention to detail is something else.
Gundy Designs. Gundy?
Yep. Right now, he's working on some projects at the Waldorf. He just finished one of the penthouse suites, and I mean, just crazy, man.
I'm gonna have to link it in the after so that people can see what we're looking at here.
The dude is nuts, man. Like his designs are just his work is beautiful.
I'll have to find it later.
So that's what I wanted to do. So how I got into barbering is my sophomore year in high school. I was also a wrestler. That's probably what attracted me to mixed martial arts so much, and starting to work with a lot of these athletes.
That's cool.
I wrestled all through high school. I had my wrestling nickname. I put my wrestling nickname in my head. We had a match coming up, and my wrestling nickname, or my nickname at the time, was Bam Bam.
Bam Bam.
So I put my nickname. My barber put my nickname in my hair, and I got kicked out of school. And it was this huge.
What?
I got suspended
for having Bam Bam written.
Bam, yeah, right. Because now think about this. So I had just started. Actually, I got kicked out of school. It was my sophomore year. So this is the early 90s. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm from California. This is the heyday of West Coast gangster hip hop. I moved to Phoenix, and the school that my dad made me go to was he used his one of his buddies' address. He lived in a nice neighborhood because the school that he was
Section 4.
He was Section 4. Was in a nicer neighborhood. He didn't have to worry about me being in a school with a lot of gang affiliation and all that good stuff. Living in California, I grew up in a pretty rough area, East Side. So he wanted to keep me out of that environment that I was already in. He didn't want me to go from the frying pan into the fire. He wanted me to go to a place that was going to be a lot better for my education. I could focus on being at school. Yeah, my pops did it, was trying to do the right thing. He did the right thing. So when I went to school, there wasn't a lot of kids that looked like me at that school. So when I got my nickname shaved in my head, there was the school administration was like, oh, here we go. We got this gangbanger kid from California, and he's gonna infest our children with gang culture. And
sure, I see where they could have been coming from, but still, it's
my wrestling coach literally gave me the name. So
shit like that was like, come on.
It makes no sense. So I get suspended from school. They said I can't come back to school unless I shave it out or my hair grows back. So after about a week, it grew in enough that you could still see it, but it really wasn't there. You know what I mean? Yeah. And me and my dad would go to the barbershop every other week to get our haircut. So the next week, my hair grows back in good enough for me to go back to school. But then that weekend, me and my dad are going back to the barbershop. And so when we pull into and my dad grew up in Texas, was part of, he was part of integration. They closed his high school down to integrate his school with the white high school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my dad grew up going high school in the 60s. That's my pop's mentality. In Texas. You know what I mean? So that's my dad's mentality.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we pulled into the barbershop and my dad looks at me, so he goes, are you going to get that shave back in your head? And I was like, yeah. Like my pops was like all on board, like, bro, this is
part of you.
You ain't doing nothing wrong. So if you want to put your nickname back in your head, you do it. So I did it again. So I walked into school first period, and there was a announcement on the loudspeaker. Elliot Chester up to the principal's office, and I knew I was getting suspended again. So this time they expelled me for having my nickname saved in the back of my head.
Damn.
So so I get expelled. I go home. I call my dad. I walk home. I get home. My dad had already called an attorney, and he called every major, like all the news groups in Phoenix, Arizona Republic, Phoenix Gazette. So our attorney sued. We sued the school. We sued the principal, both vice principals, and every individual member of the school board in Phoenix or in Glendale. And I think it's a Glendale Unified School District, I think it was. So we ended up going to court. We won. And it was in that year, it was like, I think it was like the second biggest news story, because it went on for months and months. And I had all this like cool support. I mean, I was on a bunch of different, like talk shows. I was on the Oprah Winfrey Show, called my attorney and asked me if I would come on the show.
No way.
Swear to God.
What 100%. Who am I sitting across from?
Swear to God. Yeah, absolutely. What's crazy is I've tried to like Google all this stuff. I mean, there was a cartoon there. You know how they write in the newspapers, they do like the cartoon sketches. There was a cartoon sketch of me in the back of it's my haircut, and I had like a little ducktail. This is the 90s, so I had like a high top fade with steps, and then I had my name shaved in it. But a friend of mine brought me the newspaper in school when they let me back in. He goes, "Yo, Elliot, you're in the newspaper again." I was on the front page of the newspaper like once a week for like, because they were tracking my story. It was like a big deal. Yeah. We were suing the school district
that's a huge deal
for violating my freedom of speech. You know what I mean? And then we won. We beat the school district. They had to let me back into school. So like the news came. I was on Trial Watch. I mean, there was a cat named Robin Leach. She had the show called Trial Watch. I was on that show. Like they followed me to school and they showed me going into school with my hair, and it was pretty crazy.
That's a big deal.
It was a big deal.
That's a huge deal.
It was a big deal because I didn't do anything wrong. You know what I mean? Like here's the kicker was one of my best friends in school was a white kid named Travis Thompson. Travis was like star football player on the team, was like the star wrestler. And Travis had his initials and IHS and his football number shaved in his head. And he didn't get kicked out of school. But for them, they looked at it as he was being, he had school spirit and he was doing it for the school. That was my wrestling nickname. So my attorney subpoenaed my wrestling coach. My wrestling coach literally is on the witness stand and says, yeah, the entire team calls him Bam Bam. He got the name in the wrestling room.
Wow.
He's a wrestler representing.
And they didn't think to ask you that, like the principal?
They didn't. They thought Bam Bam. That's how they thought. Immediately, that was the first thing that they thought of. Was negative.
That's so sad.
It did suck. But
you did a big thing.
The
fact that you and your dad,
right? My pops even shaved. My pops shaved, and my pops was a bus driver. My pops shaved Bam's dad on the back of his head. That's how my dad would. And my dad is a real.
That's
dude.
what's supportive, man.
Yeah, man, he's a good. He's a dope dude.
Yeah.
Real talk. Pops is. Shout out Lawrence Chester, my pops, good man. So yeah, bro. So that's what led me down that path of becoming a barber. So my dream of being an architect kind of got crushed.
Yeah.
So when I graduated high school, I didn't want to go to college. I didn't want to go to college because I didn't know what was I going to go to college. Like, I didn't like going to school, and I didn't want to go to college just to go to college. You know what I mean?
It's big on you to know that at that time.
You should have some direction. You know what I mean? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? So
I had no idea.
I kind of floundered around a little bit, because I was creative. I was into music. I was in some local rap. I was in a rap group, and part of a crew that, some of the guys in the crew were really close to having some like major success. You know what I mean? I was hanging out with these cats, and then when I was 21, almost 22, I moved back to I moved back to California. My godmother owned a salon in Central California, so I was like, you know what? I was into cutting hair. After all that stuff, I started cutting hair myself. Like in my house, I cut my hair. I cut some of my buddies' hair. You know what I mean? And I was like, well, let me be a barber. I think, I had to figure something out. You know what I mean? So I found a barber school, and that was it. I wanted to do something that filled that creative kind of void that I needed. You know what I mean?
Is there a lot of creativity behind being a barber?
Yeah, and it's very similar to like architecture in regards, like the way that I see hair is I'm creating shape, I'm creating movement. I'm figuring out, you're looking at angles and depth, and it's very similar to. I get that same fulfillment that I did as a kid from, when I was in school, drafting and drawing. You know what I mean? It's that same.
You're drawing on somebody's head, but
kinda
by
removing
hair.
Yeah, but I'm creating shit. And that's exactly what I tell people. Like when I go somewhere and I'm teaching, what I do when I'm teaching haircutting. That's a phrase that I use a lot. Like I see the haircut before, like I see the finished haircut, and all I'm doing is I'm removing what doesn't belong. That's the way that I see it.
That's a really cool way to look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, that visionary, creative mind.
Right. And so then now as a business owner, right, the thing that really motivates me and inspires me to, expand and open up, a different location or redesign, remodel the location is the design of the space, designing the shop. You know what I mean? So like designing the Garrison, like I worked with with an architect, a gentleman named Nasco. What was Nas's name? What's Nas's last name? Dude, Nas, this dude is super dope.
I know a Nas, but I think different Nas.
He's a Romanian kid, really super talented dude. He just opened up his own firm, and so I sat with Nas, and we like really came to. We really took a lot of inspiration from some cool spaces. Some, you know, we wanted to stay. We wanted the shop to stay true to the look and feel of the Huntridge. The first thing that I said is I want this to look like, I want the Garrison to take inspiration from the 1930s, 40s era barbershop. But I don't want it to be a Disneyland barbershop that's trying to replicate a 1940s barbershop. I don't want it to be, when you walk into it, we look like we're trying to be a 1940s style barbershop where everything's like old. I want the inspiration to be there, but I want it to be a modern shop. So there's a lot of elements from that era, the color palette, the particular chairs that we use. Those are the chairs that we use are Takara Belmont Legacy. So that chair is modeled after, and it's so that chair is from Belmont, or excuse me, that chair is from Takara.
What is Takara?
Takara Belmont is a barber chair brand.
Okay.
That chair is modeled after the classic Koken barber chairs from the 40s, the 30s, 40s, 50s.
Spell Koken for me.
Koken. Takara Belmont bought Koken. Koken was in St. Louis, Missouri. That's where they were. Koken.
A Koken barber chair. And these guys are the original barber chairs?
No, well, they're one of the original barber chairs in Las Vegas.
Okay.
So, let me make sure. Let's see something.
Takara Belmont.
Koken
Legacy barber chair.
There you go. The
That's
Legacy.
The exact
What I say legend? The legend is a different
I think you said
model.
Legacy.
Okay, so it's the Legacy. So Takara Belmont, so my barber chairs, that Legacy barber chairs on the footrest, it says Koken on it. So it's paying homage to what that chair was, where that. So they took that chair and they modernized it. So that's what I did with that barbershop. I took the barbershop I took imagery, and I took color palette. I took, design aesthetics that were popular in that era. And I said, okay, so if we're going to do this barbershop, how would it look in 2020? And what I want to do is I want a young barber 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now to look at the Garrison and go, I want to do a shop like the Garrison, but I want to make it modern. I don't want to, you know what I mean? Like,
you're creating a classic.
Right. I want it to be original. You know what I mean? With some nods to the past, to pay tribute to what true barbershops were in the era of that neighborhood and that community. So that era, that community was established in that time period. The Huntridge was founded, I believe, in like 1940 something. Is when that theater was built. So I want it to be true to that neighborhood.
Being a business owner, outside of just being a barber, is that you have to be such a creative.
Yeah.
It's the coolest thing that I was just sitting in bed one day or whatever. I was sitting at home and I was thinking there's almost no difference between a business owner and being a quote unquote artist. Right? You would imagine painting on a canvas. The business owner gets to design their space to elicit a certain response that they want, and it's a representation of themselves.
Right.
And you get to pull all of these little pieces and then use your resources to create this really beautiful thing that everybody gets to take a little bit of, gets to share.
Right.
It's the coolest thing.
Right. And you hope that people see your creativity and what you're trying to put out. So, that barbershop is my canvas, right? And the finished look of it, like the feel when you walk into it, the experience that you have, like that's my art. My art is the experience that someone comes into. They partake in getting a haircut or getting a shave, sitting down at the bar, having a drink, taking home, learning about a particular product, maybe for your skin or a shaving product or a hair care product, and being immersed in this space that's meant to be what our founding fathers in my industry meant it to be a man. Hopefully guys come in and they get that. You know what I mean? So when someone walks in and goes, wow, this place is really cool. You get to come in and you sit down and you get to really relax, and you don't think about work and you don't think about whatever issues you've got going on at home. You really get to, it's your escape for an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours that you're there. You know what I mean? It really is an escape from your reality at the time. That's my art. Not just the haircut. That's part of it.
It's the experience from the time that you walk into the door to the time you leave.
And I hate to say, and I really do hate to say, oh, it's the experience, because I think it's become so that term has become so cliche. You know what I mean? Especially in my industry, I hear, oh, it's not just a haircut, it's an experience. Well, okay, what's your experience? What is it? What is that experience? And then that's where then you hear silence, because it's cool to say that, but what's the experience mean?
To me, walking in that, it's a sense of peace, but I think that is, I don't know that I can say that's necessarily unique to that. It's unique to that level of care.
Right.
So how do you apply that term to the garrison? I'm not sure, but what it means to me is that being able to just relax and get away and not worry and talk about where you're from, or talk about how your day was, how the week was, how training's going. I like to work out. So talking to somebody else about how their workouts are going. And it's like just talking to another bro, to another dude, to another, like that's taking the time to let you not worry.
Right.
And there's so much work behind the scenes that individual has to take to allow that experience to exist. That is what that means to me, if that makes sense.
No, it does. And to me, like, I think about it a lot. I really compare the experiences at my establishments to, I really love to use restaurants, because I'm very fortunate that I have a lot of chefs and restaurateurs that come into my businesses. So I'm able to pick their brains and talk to them. And I go experience a lot of different restaurants in Las Vegas. I've been very fortunate. So,
that's cool.
If I go to a ribeye is a ribeye for the, you know what I mean? Like there's
components are
it's a steak, right? Mm-hmm. But so you can go to Barry's, which is one of my favorite steakhouses in town. You can go to Golden Steer, which is a classic. I mean, one of the dopest steakhouses in town. You can go to Joe Stone Crab at Caesar's. You can go to what's the one at the Cosmo? I can't believe I'm forgetting the name. There's
I like SW.
SW at the Wynn. God, I cannot believe anyway. And I'll remember it here in a second. He's one of the guys who's my dude that is at that place. We just went there 2 months ago, and it was an incredible experience. But my point is, all those steakhouses sell ribeyes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They all have mac and cheese. They all got, they all have asparagus. You can get a baked potato at all them joints. You know what I mean? Just like you can go to any barbershop and get a haircut. You know what I mean? What's the difference between Barry's and SW, or what's the difference between SW and the steakhouse at Circus? What's the, you know what I mean? The experience is different at all those places.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The experience is different at Cleaver. Hell, Cleaver and oh my God, Cleaver is owned. It's the same company as. Getting old is terrible, bro. What is it?
Do it. Look at it. I mean, if it, look it up.
Let me see if I can.
Yeah, do your thing. So it reminds me of what is the difference between like housing, right? I was in real estate right before I got into there's full time doing this, and like I thought about all these houses are pretty like they're all built with sticks, they're all built with hands. Everyone's buying brick from the same couple of different places. So then what ends up becoming the difference is the fact that, my salesperson remembers my name, or the fact that